So over on the Mecha Gaikotsu Discord, we had a group build contest, basically a Build Divers themed kit bash contest, and if you entered, you had a chance at winning some prizes, and of course your build was going to be featured here on the channel. It ran from December to February. The storm in February kind of delayed the judging, but this is it happening right now. Just as a little bit of a background to it, like I said, it was a Build Divers themed kit bash contest. Like it says right here, it was a kit bash of 2 or more kits with a Build Fighters, Try, Divers kind of theme. One kit had to be Gunpla at least, and there was 2 categories. There's the Unpainted and Fully Painted. The Fully Painted is simple, you kit bash your kit or series of kits, and painted, simple. The Unpainted was kind of a standard kit bash, but you could paint parts to match. Basically, it's hard to sometimes find kits that will seamlessly gel together color-wise, so some painting was allowed. So basically 2 different skill levels. The prizes up for the Unpainted contest were the Real Grade RX-78 2.0 as prize first, and the second prize, the runner-up prize, was a High Grade Altron. For the Fully Painted contest, the main prize was the Master Grade Narrative Gundam Verka, and I hadn't actually announced the runner-up prize yet, but what that is the full Mechanics Raider Gundam. But anyway, let's get right into it with the Unpainted category. So here we go with the Unpainted category, and I'm going to go in order of entries on the Discord. Simple as that right there. So starting off with Twin Drive. So just in case you're wondering, the whole chili cheeseburger thing right there was basically I didn't want anyone to get started on the contest too early, so I came up with a bit of a kind of password on the day of entry to show that your kits weren't, well, customized just yet. I had just eaten a chili cheeseburger, so that's pretty much why I did that. Anyway, Twin Drive right here, entered using the High Grade Hazel Gigantic Arms and the Kshatriya Repair. And here is the final entry, so it is the Big Arm of Zeon. Again, entered into the Unpainted, the kits used Hazel Big Arm, Kshatriya Repaired, Psycho Doga, and the IBO Sword. The arms and the head were painted to match the body, light decal and panel lining, finished off with super smooth flat UV top coat. I did say for everyone to design themselves a pilot too, and that was just for a little bit of background fluff, and gives the kit a little bit more character. And this right here is a kit patch that, well, has plenty of character. I actually think starting with this one right here is a little bit on the unfair side, because this might just be one of my favorite kit bashes of all time. And I don't mean just on the Discord, I mean in general. This is just so fun. Everything is just gelled together so perfectly. This is so cool. I actually got my wife to take a look at some of these with me, just to kind of get a little bit of a second opinion on them. And this one right here, she felt looked like something that could kind of be in a pixelated old school game, something like Metal Slug or something like that, where it would have a little bit of a cycled kind of animation to it, but a lot of hefty weight. It's such a cool design. The Psycho Doga head is such a nice addition. And sadly, one thing you don't actually get from this is the Kshatriya and the big arms are huge, so you can't actually get too much of an actual size idea of what, well, how big this is, but it must be fairly big for a high grade. Overall, the color choices are phenomenal, and it has such attitude. The addition of the giant sword from the Helmwig Vinecar is a real cool addition too, because it just adds to the absolute mass and weight. Finally, there is the pilot, and overall, I have to say this is phenomenally cool. On to the next bash. So the second entry in the Unpainted category is Tryon 3, and going with these 2 kits right here, this is the fun aspect about actually doing a kit bash. It means you can actually use some kits that look like they've had, well, a lot of their parts taken away or were kind of left over a bit. So what we've got right here is the High Grade Jim, one of my all-time favorite kits, and the Gun Cannon. Kit Bash! As for the blurb about the finished kit bash, it's the RGM 79T R1 Jim Titus Repair. The pilot is a sick as hell Godzilla in shades. That definitely gets extra points. Not that the pilots are actually, it's just cool. As part of the blurb, it explains why it's missing its left arm and that it has been repaired. So this definitely is the fun part about choosing certain kits to go together. Even though the red of the legs and the orange of the body are slightly different, it still works together in an interesting kind of way. We've got that repaired arm on the left-hand side, and I'm definitely digging the addition of that almost V-fin-like section on the forehead. That's cool. Finally, this thing is rocking a massive satellite cannon, and yeah, there's the Godzilla. Overall, a very nice design. I do love the way the 2 kits have been gelled together. Next kit bash. Next up, we've got Deus de Mortis with 3 very choice kits. Now, these are good ones for a Unpainted kit bash because they do look like they gel together very nicely with a similar color scheme. That, of course, is the IBO Barbatos, Dantalion, and we've got the Exia from Gundam 00. As for the final bash right here, it's the Gundam Exia Exceed, piloted by Hiro Yoshida. Again, it's the Gundam Exia, Barbatos' first and fourth form, Dantalion, and some sprinkling of other parts. That right there is the finished bash, and these parts have been gelled together extremely nicely. I like the overall long kind of feel to it. It's kind of bestial, which is extremely nice, and I think I see a bit of a wired tail coming around from around back. Overall, again, the parts have been added together very nicely. I especially like the way you got the Gundam 00 parts in with the IBO. IBO and IBO is easy. However, adding in some high-grade 00 into that as well with the Exia definitely couldn't have been easy. Overall, gelled together very nicely. I do love the overall kind of long silhouette this has. It almost reminds me of what we're seeing very recently with a lot of the G-Quax designs. There's definitely been some extending to the height on this kit right here. There is a size comparison with the RX-78-2 just so you can see just how tall it is. Finally, there's the pilot, and overall extremely nice bash. On to the next one. Next up then in the unpainted category is Z-Man. So what we've gotten here is quite a few G Gundam and Gundam build kits. So that's Shin Burning Gundam, High Grade G Gundam, Funsaki, always a nice addition. I'll also mention that this was white at first, did get painted, and we do have some additional parts around there in the back too. Bash. So there we go, there is the finished bash. Now I'm not going to read out the entire blurb about this, but a lot of effort has been put into it. It is on the screen if you do want to read it yourself, but this is the MBG-01 Burning Gundam with the pilot AA-8 Phoenix. So there is the finished kit, a take on the build Burning Gundam with some actual G Gundam in there as well. Some black added on to gel all those parts together, and some nice beam effects around back for the wings. Also, a lot of props have to be given to a kit bash or a custom when Funsaki is involved. It's one of the funnest, coolest, most ridiculous Gundam model kit anythings that is around. So there's the finished build, looking fantastic, and finally there is the pilot. On to the next bash. So yeah, that right there was it for the entries to the unpainted category. This one was at the same time very difficult, but at the same time very easy. Everyone's entry was absolutely fantastic. They were all brilliant. The concepts were incredibly fun, but one just stood head and shoulders above the rest, and I mean both literally and figuratively. This is one of the coolest bashes I have ever seen, full stop. This goes up there with another kit bash I remember seeing time and time again over on Twitter, which is kind of like a pink bear. Not a bear guy or anything like that, I can't find it right now, but it's just so unique and odd in the perfect kind of matched sort of way. I love this. This is almost like a perfect design in and of itself. Everything gels together great. It's so fun and awesome, and those are the best combinations, fun and awesome. So number one is Twin Drive with the big arm of Zeon. So awesomely fun. As for second place, is Deus de Mortis with the Exia Exceed. This just gelled together so perfectly. Great three choices to go together for a bash that didn't require too much painting. I think what really is the kind of linchpin that made this one second place for me is when I showed my wife the various kit bash kits. When I showed her this, she said, well, what does it look like when it's done? And I said, this isn't done. And she's like, but it just looks like a normal Gundam model kit. And that is why it is a perfect bash. Everything gelled together seamlessly. So Deus de Mortis, second place. So now moving into the painted category, there was more entries into this one, so let's make our way through it again in order of entering into the contest. First up, we've got Fee, with this build based on the Cherrim Gundam saga, as well as some Frame Arms girl parts. Kit bash! So here is the finished kit bash. This is the Commander. Kit name is White Saga, and it's a Mecha Musume made for mid-long range combat with multiple modes to accommodate her on the battlefield. Now, I'm just going to assume from this picture right here that the cow, which is, as far as I know from the Master Grade Turn A Gundam, is the pilot, and if so, that is amazing. The paint job here is a nice monochromatic white, grey and black, and we've got quite the Gundam build loadout attached onto the back and sides there. We've got the Cherrim Gundam Saga parts around back as well as on the feet. And finally, the most important aspect of the whole thing, the cow. Now a little bit further down the Discord, there are some action shots. So we've got a nice little visor there too, missile pod, long rifle, and in very Gundam Build Fighters Divers style, it seems like the backpack can take off and be used remotely. This second entry into the painted category is Gunpla Chef with what seems to be an obliterated pile of parts. This one right here does have a couple of work in progress pictures, so I decided to include them as well so you can see it building up. As you can see, the color scheme on this has changed quite a bit and definitely leaning towards that Master Gundam. So there's an extremely long blurb for this one right here. I'm not going to read it out, but I will give you the gist. This right here is the Fiction Gundam, a play on the name of the narrative Gundam which this is based on. The kits used are the high-grade Master Gundam, narrative Gundam, a stray red frame, a bunch of option parts, and some scratch-built parts. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name of the pilot right there. And the entire blurb about this Gunpla and its pilot will be up on the screen right now if you want to read that for yourself. The pictures taken of the Fiction Gundam are absolutely fantastic, as you would expect from Gunpla Chef. I'm digging the use of the Warhammer skull up there, definitely bringing that Gundam build flair again with the removable backpack. We've got those Master Gundam wings around on the hips. A lot has been added into this right here. This is very, very nicely done. And we've even got the Master Gundam clear foot in here to boot. There's quite a few kits added into this, and they're gelled together so well that you can't even tell one from the other. You can see some of the red frame as well as some of the narrative, but it has been all blended together with that Master Gundam dark yet vivid color scheme. Absolutely awesome. Next up, we've got Solaire Flare, with what looks like is going to be a combination between the high-grade Gundam 00 Arc as well as the high-grade Gundam Calibarn. Here is the finished bash as well as the blurb. This is the Calibarn Stealth. This is a kit bash of the high-grade Gundam Calibarn, high-grade Build Diver Arc, and the high-grade Mira Soul Flight Unit. Once again, I will pop the entire blurb up here so you can read that for yourself, but overall, I'm definitely blown away here by the use of UV reactive decals and paint. So when not under UV light, this is in a very nice dark black and metallic purple color scheme. Again, this is one of those bashes that has gelled the two kits together so perfectly under the paint that you can't really tell one from the other per se. You can see the Calibarn in it, you can see the 00 Diver Arc in it too, but they're just gelled together so perfectly. But it really is the use of UV paint panel lining and the UV decals that really make this, well, quite literally, shine. Once it's under full black, like this is absolutely mesmerizing. Very, very, very nice touch in using those decals paint in tandem with the UV reactive parts from the Arc. Honestly, this is a ridiculously cool concept, a great idea, and it all came together perfectly. That is insanely nice. So with the next one right here, I'm actually glad that I did check around the Discord a little bit, because this entry right here by Onion didn't actually get entered in time or in the, well, Discord where the entries were to be put, but I did see that it was put up a little bit late in another channel, so that does mean that I still think it does count, considering this, well, the competition in general did go a little bit over time anyway. So anyway, we've got a box of parts. I see a lot of age-looking parts inside of there. And as for the final build, this is it right here. So again, it's bringing a lot of Gundam age. I do see some G unit in those weapons, and 100% I can see this in a Gundam build world, or even straight into Gundam age itself. As an absolutely huge Rockman or Mega Man fan, I dig this color scheme. Looking gorgeous. So next up is Noodle with quite a big pile of stuff right here. Mainly the Daryl Balde, I see Moon Gundam round back, and a whole bunch of extra parts. There is the finished entry. This is the Daryl Balde Overseer. Pilot name is Rise Phillips. The kits used are the Daryl Balde, Astaroth Origin, Moon Gundam, Hugo, Sinanju, Hyakuren, Saturn X Armor, Cherrim Gundam, and some MSG parts. So there's a whole lot gone into it, and you can see that. I will put the entire blurb up there so you can read that for yourself. And this is obscenely cool. This has been put together so perfectly that you can barely even see the Daryl Balde in there. This is a chunk, and the design of the weapons and equipment just all seems so functional and well thought out. This is a nice bash. Actually, scratch that, this is a fantastic bash. the paint on the almost halo-like weapons from the Hyakuren back there. Actually, should I mean the Hugo? Overall, this is absolutely weaponed up, and the color scheme has given me a little bit of a... Is it the Garazo from 00? One of those Season 2 00 bad guy suits. The colors gel together so well, and I really love that right there. The way the color has been kind of blended between the two parts, using those blocky rectangular shapes. That is nice blending. Overall, this is incredible. The weapons look so functional, the legs are nice and chunk. The work done on the Daryl Balde's head up there is incredible looking. This right here is definitely a kit I could see in Gundam Build Divers, or even almost a main suit in its own non-Gundam mecha anime. This is really nicely designed. Next up in the painted category is Jake the Late. We've got a Gundam Age FX, right? And a Legulus. Am I right? Been so long since Gundam Age, the names are starting to leave my brain.
Kibash.
So I'm having a little bit of a peek on the Discord right here. There's a lot of nice work in progress pictures, but it seems like he may have gotten a little bit on the sick side while doing it, and there is no blurb. But again, the whole point of that was just for a little bit of flavor. Anyway, here is the finished kit, and it barely looks like an Age kit whatsoever anymore. This looks really, really nice. Mainly in white and gold. You can see the Gundam Legulus in there. I see some Daryl Balde, and we've got some nice Gundam wings around at the back. The V-fin on top of the, is that a Delanza head? Is definitely an incredibly nice touch. Overall, a very, very nice concept and a nice finished piece. So last up then in the painted category is Chiral with these right here. So I'm seeing a lot, or should I say, well, 2 core Gundams, which is always a nice touch. We've got the high grade Strike, Build Strike, and the Windom.
Kibash.
When it comes to the actual finished build, it is the GAT-X04C Core Windom Sniper. The kits used here were the high-grade CE Windom, Core Gundam, Isle Strike Gundam, Customized Campaign B, high-grade Super Fumina, Gym Sniper 2, and the high-grade Force Impulse Arc. The pilot's name is Reina Sakai, and the whole blurb is there right there if you do want to read it for yourself. Now I can say that was a whole lot of kits for a tiny, tiny little pastel core Gundam. This has a whole lot popped into it, and all I can say is always extra points when it comes to having a core Gundam in there. The choice of pastel colors is definitely a unique one, and something about it definitely does give it a very Gundam build feel. There's always that character with that very kind of unique, small, cute, but at the same time powerful mobile suit, and I think this one might be that one. Overall, an incredibly, incredibly unique design right here. Awesome. And that does mean it's time to announce the winners. Now, I realized in the last one for the Unpainted, I did the complete wrong way around. Who says number 1 first, then number 2? So I'm going to be starting with the second place and the winner of the Full Mechanics Raider Gundam. Now, this was a little bit difficult because there was quite a few in this that I really did like. So I kind of had to break it down to kind of like the unique factors and something that I felt would just blend perfectly into the kind of Build Divers universe. So for me, in the second position is Solaire Flare with the Caliban Stealth Spec. These two kits have blended together so perfectly. This definitely does seem like an antagonist ace suit right here, but what really was the linchpin in this one getting second position is the incredible use of UV parts. It almost has a little bit of a kind of crazy Trans-Amish kind of feel to it, or even like some kind of a burst mode, or hell, even in a kind of Build Divers sort of hacking kind of way. It just works so well. The use of blacklight, the UV panel lining, the UV reactive decals, and the UV reactive clear parts just really make this gel together so perfectly. Absolute beast of a custom right here. And in first position, and the winner of the Master Grade Narrative Gundam Verka, is Noodle with the Daryl Balde Overseer. This might just be one of my all-time favorite custom Gundam kits of all time. Not just from the server, not just from the competition, but ever. This is just gelled together perfectly. It has a real Ipe Gyobyu kind of feel, both in the design and in the color scheme. Everything gels together, everything looks so functional, it's thick, It's powerful looking. This looks like a real end boss of a mobile suit right here. Everything has been thought out perfectly, from the cannons on the back, the use of these shield bits around front, the way they can move out, the halo up top. It's just a perfect custom all around. It looks incredible and definitely deserving of the #1 spot. But all things considered, everyone's build was completely fantastic. Because this did take place primarily in December, it did mean I couldn't actually get involved myself, but I will be coming up with the next build contest soon, and I do hope to take part in it myself. Now, obviously not to win things, just to actually be a part of it all, because all of these designs were amazing, and it just kind of inspires you to get involved with it. Again, congratulations to the winners. I will contact you on Discord, and to everyone else, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more Gunpla videos, and I'll see you next time. As always, I cannot finish this video right here without thanking every single one of you guys for watching, and special thanks to those who support me on both the channel memberships as well as on Patreon, including Simon, Scotty Thomas, Abraxas, RG59061, Joe, Vanfon, and Caleb Engelhardt.